enter a room. You see nothing but an empty table before you, donning a singular blue microphone. The rain patters on the tin roof above your head, and you wonder what's out there. But you're stuck here, and it's time to make a very important decision. Do you record a good intro or a terrible intro?
Fuck, I guess I have to roll for it.
Roll for charisma.
Alright, let's see what it is.
It appears you've rolled a natural 1.
Oh, fuck me.
Continue with your intro.
Welcome to the Left of the South podcast. I'm your co-host, David.
You hear a knock at the door.
With my friend.
Would you like to investigate?
I go to the door.
As you crack open the door, you see an angry mob of fans from Patreon demanding a better intro.
No!
Their swords are drawn. They close in on you.
I can do better.
You feel them clawing at your arms and legs.
Oh,
Your clothes are torn from your body as you die slowly and painfully. This is the end of Left in the South podcast.
Well, how you doing, Caleb?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty fucking fine. You know, it's another week, another podcast.
Another week, another podcast. Hey, forget about it.
Forget about it.
I'm actually really excited for this episode, dude. I've got some very interesting topics.
A lot's been going on this week.
A lot has been going on, man. What's been going on with you, David? I'm trying to catch up.
You know, I'm pretty sure I've said this on the podcast right before. You know, got my job back at Little Caesars. I'm manager again, so making a little extra cha-ching on the side.
They don't want to see us glow up. They don't want to see us grind.
And so I have a little extra money to spend on the podcast now. So that's pretty good.
Have you been thinking of buying some upgrades for us?
Yeah, actually, something that's pissed me off recently is that we were trying to get a sponsored ad on Twitter, but there's been some complications, and you know, that was really annoying. So
they think we're a fucking political ad.
That's the thing. That we're like and it's kind of fucking crazy. So like, you know, I've been waiting to see any updates to see if they look into our account and see that we're just a fucking podcast.
These two young men love Bernie Sanders just a little too much.
Yeah, just too much, dude. They don't want to fucking get our voice out there, dude.
They don't want to see us glow up. That's what I've been
yeah, it's episode 9, dude. It's episode 9 of the podcast. One more podcast left until the giveaway. So stay tuned. Will you win the blue snowball microphone? Who knows?
Only
one lucky person can win.
True. I can't wait, man. I'm excited. Got to figure out how to send this microphone to someone across the world, potentially.
Yeah. I think I have a good idea how we're going to do it. So it shouldn't be a big problem.
But yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter and retweet our shit and join up on the
Patreon
giveaway. You'd hate to miss your opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
But what's been going on with you?
Honestly, this week's been pretty good, man. This is my last week before I restart classes, so the podcast is probably going to get a little bit better, considering I'll be going to school. I don't know, something about going to school just really opens my mind, you know?
Yeah, you have like new stories, new ideas.
Yeah, it really gets my creative juices flowing. I'm going to be like, who's that one actor that always goes back to college?
I don't fucking know, dude. I barely know any actors like names, dude.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to be like him. I'm just going to stay in college for the rest of my life and, I don't know, just waste away.
Yeah. Sounds like you're going to be taking on a lot of debt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as long as I never pay it off, it doesn't matter, right?
Sure. Maybe Bernie Sanders gives you his free school. So there's always that to look out for.
Always that to look out for, man. I actually have...
He's been doing really well.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. I've been feeling a lot more like positive about his chances lately because of the polling out of Iowa and New Hampshire and stuff.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, honestly, like the Iowa caucus, or not caucus, but primary election is only like 20 something days away. So
yeah, in February.
In a little under a month, we'll know how he does in Iowa, and then we'll know how he does in New Hampshire, and we'll pretty much know if he's going to be the nominee in about a month.
Yeah, if they cook him out, dude, I don't know what I'll do.
I don't know what I'll do, but
I shouldn't be alone when that happens.
Can you record podcasts in jail? Is that do they let you do that?
Phone, you get it like, hey, can I get a visitor? And we can like,
dude, a conjugal visit.
Yeah.
They'll think we're gay. Like I'll be like, we're having a conjugal visit with my friend David, and then we're just gonna sit in a room screaming at each other for an hour.
Yeah, and then we upload it.
Yeah.
And then maybe one day I'll get out of jail. But until then,
and then I'll be waiting outside in my summer dress, waiting to pick you up from the jail yard. You'll sit in the seat across from me in the passenger seat, and I'll put my hand on your thigh like I did back before in the olden days.
And I look you in the eyes.
Our eyes meet, and a spark of electricity jumps between us. We embrace for the first time. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, I have some interesting topics I wanted to talk about, man. Is it okay if I introduce my topics?
Yeah, go ahead.
So today, bro, I want to talk about something that we have no authority to talk about, and it's probably going to upset people. But I'm interested about your opinion on things, so I'm going to ask you. Okay?
Okay.
So I want to talk about women.
Okay.
I want to talk about not only women, but I want to talk about sex and sexuality and like sexy sex. I want to talk about it.
Sexy sex. All right.
Because I've been thinking a lot about sex, not like in a physical way, but sex as it manifests, the power dynamics of sex,
gender and shit.
Exactly. Not necessarily gender, but like I don't know, like how sex manifests in society, and
what role it plays,
making me think about like things like the patriarchy, things like the Me Too movement. I want to have a discussion.
I've been kind of thinking about it too, watching The Witcher, since like they have a matriarchal society,
right?
And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I like looked into it, and like apparently there's like known like recorded matriarchal societies.
There are
in real life.
I know that there's an island nation that is a matriarchal society. It's very uncommon.
Yeah, but that's like the only one. It's like it's a super very uncommon thing.
Right. Yeah, that's really crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It seems strange that over time only patriarchal societies have manifested practically.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be like more than one too, like more than one known one.
Right, and it kind of points to the idea that the patriarchy is kind of the natural state of things. And this is actually a thought that I was having because of a discussion I had with someone who said something along the lines of like, if someone is a lower class citizen, it might be because that they are supposed to be there, or like they deserve to be there, or whatever. And of course that's like a horrible thing, but it made me think about women, because I was thinking, some people view women that way, like
they don't than men.
Yeah, like they don't view them as second class citizens, but rather they view them as literally like lesser. And it honestly, like, the fact that only patriarchal societies exist is actually really good evidence for that idea. So it made me think, like, as a person who obviously is a feminist, a person who doesn't believe that women are second-class citizens, a
lot of people are feminists, but they don't really realize it.
Right. I think most people are feminists if they knew what that meant. But like, what argument could I make against that? Because it seems that the natural state of things is a patriarchy. So what argument could I make to say, well, actually, I think it shouldn't be that way, and here's why. And I just kind of wanted to talk about that with you. So, first of all, do you think that, like, would you agree that patriarchy seems to be like the ultimate state of society in a human like society? Do you kind of agree with that?
Do you mean that's like the natural course of things?
Yeah, that's like, it tends to be how things happen.
Well, yeah, if you like, go back to how we used to live, like the males protect the females, they got the food and shit. So like, I guess it kind of makes sense.
Right. Do you think that that's like in and of itself morally wrong? Like, because
to think that?
No, because I was thinking like, back in like hunter-gatherer societies, for example, women would do all of the child rearing and domestic stuff, right? So they would stay home, and then men would like get hunt and stuff, and women would like gather nuts at home. They would do like domestic stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of like dichotomy makes sense when you're like a hunter gatherer, because you need someone to like take care of children.
Yeah, and then you have like the leader of the pack of the guys who's defending the females at home. So like it's natural that he becomes like the king, you know?
Right. And like from like a pragmatic standpoint, that pretty much makes sense, because it's an efficient way to do things to like maximize the utility of each person. So I don't find that like necessarily sexist. However, I think
I
that
don't think so.
the way it manifests in today's society, I think, is sexist, because we're not living in a subsistence economy where like everyone's
it's not like that anymore.
Right, like everyone's maximum utility does not need to be like used perfectly. Like we have the opportunity, the unique and beautiful opportunity, I would say, to like allow people to do things that aren't necessarily that useful because it feels good or it's fun or that's what they want to do, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like women kind of haven't reached that. Like men have reached that point where they can just do whatever they want and society won't judge them for what they do. But women kind of right now, they still have like an expected societal role that I think is pretty antiquated.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like, you know, women are expected to be a certain way and act a certain way. And like for guys, it's like, you know, you should do what the fuck you want, man.
Yeah, that's weird though. Like, why is that? Is it just a product of our historical relationship with women, or?
I mean, I guess just like it's different from, you know, different cultures. Like if you look in another country, it's probably like super different. But in the United States, it's you know, all the females, they had like nursing jobs, teacher jobs, you know, very like domestic type jobs. Like, you know, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, especially like post World War II, because like or that kind of like changed a little bit post World War II because women went into
got factory
like,
jobs.
Right, exactly. And then like I think that's when the feminist movement really became the strongest, is post World War II, because women like got a taste of what life would be like in a less patriarchal society.
True. And only like 2 decades before that, they got the right to vote, you know, women's suffrage in 1919.
Yeah, like that's crazy. Only like 20 years time. In between World War I and II, they got the right to vote. That's really crazy to think about. But anyway, yeah, like, I don't know. It's interesting. And then like that made me think too about like the differences between men and women, okay? Like, if you're a feminist, I don't think you should be scared to say, like, there are differences between men and women. There are certain things that men can do better than women. It's not wrong to say that. The thing where it becomes wrong...
men have muscle mass and shit like that.
Exactly.
Different bone structures.
Right. The part where it becomes wrong, the part where I disagree with it, is when you try to make a prescription from that descriptive statement. So, like, I would say to you, women on average are much less physically strong than men. And then that would be a descriptive statement. But then a misogynist would say, women on average are less strong than men, therefore women should not be allowed to do this and this and this and this, and we should be in control of women because they're weaker than us. That would be something that I disagree with. So I also don't like how a lot of feminists like say things like they call you out for being misogynistic or something just for making statements like that. That's stupid, and those people are stupid.
Yeah.
I want to talk about sex with you, David.
Okay.
What do you think about men and women's relationships sexually in the world? Like the dynamic between men and women. We can just talk about America, that's fine.
What do you mean by that?
Like how would you describe it?
Give me what you have to say about it, and then
okay,
maybe I can work my own answer from that.
I think that like the way that I personally would describe it is that I feel like societally men have this expectation to be kind of on the hunt, so to speak. Like men are expected to be like aggressively searching for partners, like trying to find partners every single day and like every interaction that you have with a woman, like in the back of your mind you have to like accept that there's a chance that you're gonna like have sex with them or like whatever. And it's a very like power thing. And then I think that societally women's roles is very passive. Like women are so passive.
like
in
submissive.
society. Yes, submissive in
Like
the sense
guys
that
have to be dominant and women have to be submissive. To
right, and it even takes it a step further because women are not only submissive, but they're sort of like gatekeepers because their only role sexually is not to try to have sex with people that they want to have sex with. It's to stop people that they don't want having sex with them from having sex with them. Their only purpose is to stop all of the aggressive men from having sex with them until they find the right guy. They're literally just a gatekeeper with like a flurry of dicks flying at them, and they have to find they have to wait for the right one, and they just have to open the door quick and then close it again. You know, like that is women's sexual like expectation, and it's very toxic, I think, and very controlling.
It's very weird to even say it out loud.
Yes, exactly. It's like, what is going on? Because and it very much manifests itself in parent relationships. You know, like the classic stereotypical dad, like with the shotgun when the boyfriend comes over, and shit like that, and like.
Anything you do to my daughter, I'm gonna do to you, boy.
Exactly. Like, how fucked is that? It's so toxic, and it's like, it's an extension of women's expectations in society because obviously, men are like the protectors of their daughters.
Yeah, because the dad thinks that kid's gonna like his only purpose tonight is to fuck his daughter.
Right. Exactly. Because that's how he sees it.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I agree with you so far. Like, I feel. You know, women are supposed to be submissive and men are supposed to be the more dominant when it comes to like, you know, sexual encounters.
Do you think that's wrong?
I mean, it's the expectation that we have in the United States. I think it's wrong. Yeah. I mean, I think women, you know, if you're a girl and you want to fuck anybody you want, dude, fuck anybody you want. If you're a guy, you want to fuck anybody you want, fuck anybody you want.
True.
Like, you know, don't let anybody like, oh, you should act this way. You know, you're a slut if you fuck more than 2 guys or stuff like that. Like break down those walls, dude, and fuck anybody you want.
I really agree with what you're saying, obviously, but I'm curious what you think about this because I think that really women like saying that statement is kind of a white man thing to say, and this is the realization that made me want to have this conversation because like, you know how people always talk about how white men are constantly talking about what women should and shouldn't do, and like how white men shouldn't like be the people who are always talking about things, you know?
What do you mean, like?
Well, because it's kind of like we're talking from a position of power.
Yeah, like you can't have this stance because you're a white man?
Well, no, that's stupid. But what I'm saying is like people get annoyed at white men because we talk from a position of very privileged position. You know what I mean?
I just want everyone to know that I'm not white, by the way. I am, in fact, brown. I just want to clear up some lore in the Left for South podcast.
But anyway, yeah, we're as white men, we're going to be continuing talking about a little bit of sex. It made me think about women and how, like, every time I make a suggestion to women, it's kind of not really fair. It's kind of hypocritical because I'm making it from my own frame of reference.
Yeah.
And, like, so when you say, like, yeah, you should go and, like, fuck other people, we all agree with that. But, like, if you're a woman, and you make that decision, the societal consequences are very bad for you.
Like, yeah, you're going to be called a slut. Like, you know,
exactly.
This is going to happen.
No matter how hard you try, people are going to judge you. I mean, like, for example, go on a YouTube comment section, bro.
Yeah.
Of, like, or a non-sexual video. Yes, exactly. Oh, my God. Go to reddit.com/livestream fails.
Livestream fails, yeah.
Like, that shit is disgusting. And, like, that I would say that that's the average view of women. Like...
Yeah, there's literally a tag. I don't know what they're called, like roles, I guess, on Reddit, where like you can be called a fucking hog squeezer.
That's so fucking funny.
It's kind of, you know, objectifying to.
It absolutely is.
Sometimes they're, you know, innocent clips of just women. They're like, just because they're women, you're like, this is a nice. I squeezed my hog real good to this one. You know?
It, like, just put yourself in a woman's shoes for a second. Like, it's really hard when you're a man because you've never faced this. But, like, just try to have a little empathy. Put yourself in their shoes. What would it be like if literally every time you interact with a guy, you have to wonder in the back of your mind, like, oh, is he just trying to fuck me right now? Or am I actually being friends with this person? Like, That has got to be such a demeaning thing. And this brought me to the Me Too movement. Okay? Because
Me Too.
great example.
Let's talk about the Me
this.
Too for the people who don't know what Me Too is.
Yeah, what is Me Too, dude?
So I know it's been so. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, the Me Too movement is basically was this like hashtag on Twitter. This like, but it refers to like a broader idea. It's basically the idea that women who have been sexually assaulted or raped in some way like should be able to speak out without being socially like ostracized, you know,
Yeah,
without
because it
being
was a
talked
big,
down
like,
to.
Hollywood, like, where a lot of people like fuck young, up and coming like actors. It's
Right.
even guys too,
Yeah.
women and men.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's totally a power thing, and they're basically sleeping with them to try to get their career off the ground. And like it's fucked up, it's rape, it's wrong, and of course those people should be called out. But a lot
Yeah,
of like
have you heard the Mia Johnson? Was their name Mia Johnson or Maya?
I'm not sure who
Maya
that
Johnson.
is.
She was the she was that one girl on Kids React or like Teens React, and
Oh,
then
okay.
yeah, then she like started making music, I believe. There was a thing where like her like producer or like whatever, like basically like the person who gives her connections and shit like that, or like he was really drunk and like I think she returned on like the Instagram live shit and like he was saying some really weird shit. Like he was trying to like be like have sex with her basically, and
Oh
he got
my
fucking
god.
caught.
That's so fucking
Yeah,
weird.
and it's weird because he apparently like he's been part of her life helping her out, helping her career for like
Since she was like
years.
a child.
And
Yeah.
then I believe she's 21 now, and now he wants fucking like it's expected like you should let me fuck you because I helped you.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay,
And-
now here's the disconnect. Can I say something? This is really
Yes.
important. Because here's the thing. When you're a man, you might not think that's that bad. Like, okay, put yourself in a woman's shoes for a second. When you're a man, it doesn't seem that bad. You're like, okay, I'm offering sex, but I'm not raping her. I'm giving her the opportunity to say no. This is the same exact thing that Louis C.K. ran into, okay? Because a lot of well-meaning men that I know probably are good people who just have toxic views on sex and gender, they would say things like, well, I mean, I don't really see the problem with it. Louis C.K., of course, got caught or got accused of basically like jerking off in front of women with that, like with their consent, but it was women that were below him, so he had power over them, and that's why it's wrong. And basically, a lot of men were saying like, I don't really see the issue with this because it's not like he raped them, he got their consent, and like yes, those things are true, and it's not necessarily rape in the way this is why I think that we need another word for it, because people conflate these things. It is rape because of the power dynamic between the two people, but it's not as bad. Of course, we all agree it's not as bad as like holding a woman down and violently raping her. Everyone knows that it's not as bad as that, but it's still wrong, and that's the point. Put yourself in the woman's shoes for a second. If you're an up and coming comedian and someone you look up to like Louis C.K. invites you to his hotel room to hang out, you're like, oh my god, this is my chance to like talk to someone who I've looked up to for my whole career. Maybe I watched them before I was even a comedian and stuff, and then you get there and what they do is try to jerk off in front of you. How fucking demeaning and objectifying that has
because
to be.
you don't want to make them upset by saying no.
Exactly.
So you're kind of forcing it saying yes.
Exactly. And then it's so fucked up emotionally too, because you have to wonder every professional personal relationship you have to wonder in the back of your mind, is this person really friends with me, or is this person really a business partner with me, or are they hoping that someday I'm going to let my guard down and they get to fuck me?
Yeah. I don't know if you like heard stories about this, but a lot of like Instagram influencers or like models, they would get an offer like, hey, we'll fly you out to LA and like we'll do some photo shoots and all this, and like you're gonna get a lot of money and it's gonna be really good. We're gonna fly you first class and everything like that. And then they get there and it's like, all right, now it's time to suck my dick, or like fuck me.
Right. Yeah, or like record porn,
or like
something.
they're like, hey, okay, send me some nudes now.
Yeah.
And it's like super fucked up. Like
It is.
these people fall victim to this like every day, literally every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very important to keep in mind the power dynamic. That's the thing that makes it wrong. It's
Yeah, and
not
they can't
it doesn't
say no
have to
because
be
they're
rape.
getting these benefits.
Exactly. And like that's why I prefer to use the word sexual assault, because it includes things. I think rape should be reserved specifically for the worst sexual thing that you can do like the violent rape, I think should be reserved to that word, because when people say rape, I feel like a lot of men turn their ears off, they turn their brain off, and they're like, well, I never rape anyone, I don't like rapists, of course I'm not gonna like side with rapists, and they get really defensive when you use that word to describe things that aren't actually violent rape, you know?
Yeah.
And I know it's a stupid semantics game to play, but a lot of men are on the stage right now where they're prepared to fight these stupid semantic battles again over words rather than actually empathize with women. So like, I don't know, I think it's an important distinction that is worth talking about. Like the difference between rape and sexual assault, I think is an important distinction.
Yeah, another toxic thing that like I feel like a lot of people think, like all men think, is that like if you side with like women on any like stance, like you're a fucking like gender traitor, I guess, you know? It's like,
yeah,
oh, you're such a fucking pussy, bro, you know?
Or they'll say like believing women just because they say it is wrong, and it's like what else are we supposed to fucking do? Like, I get the idea that like the thing about the Me Too movement that a lot of men disagreed with was the idea that a woman could just speak and then a man gets in trouble. You know, like that's the thing that scares them. They're like, well, women are finally getting a little bit of power. What if they accuse me? What am I supposed to do? But like we've said on this podcast before, like that just doesn't happen. Innocent people get accused sometimes, but they always are redeemed in the end.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if you're innocent, like you're gonna be innocent. Like you're gonna come out of it, you know, unscathed.
Exactly.
You know,
and like,
maybe you get some bad PR in the beginning for it, but you know, if you're innocent, people are gonna know you're innocent.
And I would argue too, like if you're a feminist, like that's part of the risk you accept when you make the statement like women are equal to us. You accept the risk that some women are gonna be bad people, and when they gain power, they're gonna be able to hurt you more than they could before. Like, that's a risk you take, but I would argue that that's the risk we take all the time in society when we lift anyone up into any position of power. You're always taking a risk that they can abuse it. But that's not unique to women, and it's sexist to think that. So...
yeah. There was like this big thing with Terry Crews. You know, he said that he was sexually assaulted. I think he was like also part of the Me Too movement. And people were like, Terry Crews got raped or like, you know, sexually assaulted? Like, how is this even possible? Like, look how big he is, and like, you know, how could he let someone do this to him? Like, there's no way this is real.
Exactly. And that's a great example too, because it really shows that it can happen to literally anyone, because it's about the power thing. Because do you know the story about how he was assaulted? It's really horrible.
No, I just heard
like,
about it.
The guy just like grabbed his dick like at an audition or something. Like just grabbed his dick. Terry Crews, the 220-pound man, and like he was stunned, and he didn't do anything about it. And like we hear that so much from women, and a lot of men like look down on them for that reason, I think. Like because they're just so shocked and surprised like that someone would do something like that, so heinous and like so blatantly, you know what I mean? It's horrifying, and it's demeaning and objectifying, and like even someone like Terry Crews, who could probably rip me in fucking half, even he is like stunned and unable to act. It can happen to literally anyone, and it's worth believing people, even if some innocent people get caught in the crossfire. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
And like that's not to say that another thing is too is like I feel like a lot of men conflate accusations with like punishment, because no man has ever gone to jail ever for being accused of rape. But men, well, that's not true actually. Some African Americans have gone to jail for just being accused of rape. But in general, like white men, because these are the people that usually complain about the Me Too movement, white men are not going to jail because of accusations. White men are going to jail when there's evidence and shit like that. And like, if you are socially ostracized, I'm not saying that that's nothing, but I would argue that that's worth it for women to be able to speak out about their sexual assaults.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about women, because I love talking about things that I know nothing about. I have another topic too, but I'm going to let you lead because I want to know what you think about it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I want to talk about language for poor people, okay? For the working class, let's say.
Okay.
I have been reading a lot about this phenomenon known as like the dirtbag left. Have you heard this term?
No, I have not.
Okay, it basically describes like online leftists like that are very vulgar and like say offensive things. Like think Chapo Trap House, Cum Town, like
the
those.
N-word?
Yeah, like they say
Destiny?
like the N word and they say like the F word slur for gay people.
God, have you heard about like the N-word shit with Destiny?
No, what did he do?
That shit makes no sense. Like, well, basically, so him and his friend Trihex, they're both pretty popular Twitch streamers. Basically, Destiny would say N-word jokes, hard R, in private, and basically all Trihex wanted was like just to say sorry or like say like just like apologize or anything, like because he felt bad for it. It affected him. He didn't think it would affect him that much, that him knowing that his friend uses the N-word in private. And like Destiny just would not like give up, because like he has like a very like heavy like morals, like this is my morals and like it's never gonna change, this is what I think, and like he can never change that. And like basically like it destroyed their podcast because he couldn't go on
Because
any
he
longer
couldn't stop
because
saying the fucking N word.
and yeah, behind his back.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it's like just like I don't understand, like just stop saying it,
Yeah. Do you want to hear my
Like,
very nuanced
it's weird.
take on the N word?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just don't fucking say it if you're white.
Yeah.
It's really just that simple.
Yeah, it's like, if you can say it, okay, so why can't you say it to Trihex? Like, why won't you say it? Because it has bad connotations.
Exactly.
And why would you say it to these other people when it has these bad connotations? Just because he's African American, you won't say it to him.
Exactly.
Like, obviously it's bad, so stop saying it.
He's literally acknowledging the fact that, yes, okay, I know that this word hurts people when I use it because I'm going to be selective about the people I use it to. You're acknowledging the fact that it's harmful, and that's why I don't think you should say it. And, like, honestly, okay, my full take about the N-word, though, is, like, I obviously think that people should not get offended by words. But here's my thing, though, is that if you know that there's an entire group of subjugated people who are viscerally affected by a word emotionally, who it actually does hurt, why would you choose to use it in their presence or in private if you know that it is hurting someone that you like love and care about, your friend? It's like if I was saying the N-word and you were like Caleb, this is making me really uncomfortable, and like I feel like that word has a lot of power to me, and I would just be like, fuck you, David, I'm gonna keep saying the N-word, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
like that's
what he
so
basically said to
disgusting.
Yeah,
like if you choose to say it, okay, that's your choice, but you also accept the consequences of saying it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I would argue if you're a
defense
public
was,
figure like Destiny, you should not be saying it at all, because you're a lot, like your fans look up to you and you have an obligation to not like
you're basically
that
saying
kind of
it's
person.
okay to say the N-word.
Exactly. You're telling all these fucking 13-year-old boys that love your channel.
His defense is like, why does it matter what I say and do in private? Like, this never meant to get leaked or anything like that, but it got leaked.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when you're a public figure, you just have to accept that your life is no longer private.
Yeah. Which is fucked up to say, but like, you
It's just the reality.
You just have to act as if, people are watching, or like people know what you're saying.
Right.
I feel like it's not a big deal to just tell. It's weird to like that he's like trying to defend himself. It's like weird, like he has to defend himself for his right to say the N-word.
Right.
Like, why is this such a big thing that you can't just like concede and like, all right, fuck it?
Yeah, especially to save a friendship. Like, that's the thing. That's the price he was willing to pay.
He couldn't compromise his morals, dude.
No, that's stupid. He's stupid. Morals are constantly
it's
evolving. If you're like, that's why I don't like him. That's why I don't watch him anymore. It's because whenever he has an idea in his head, he never changes his mind, even when new information is added, because he thinks it makes him inconsistent. But human beings are inconsistent. Being consistent 100% of the time, it's not only impossible, it's impractical, and it's stupid. Because if you learn something new and you're like, actually, this is way better, it's okay to change your mind. That's allowed. That's part of being a human and growing and learning. But Destiny just wants to stay fucking 19 years old forever and just fuck 19-year-old girls all over the world and shit. Like, which is fine. I mean, do you, bro? But like, don't pretend like you're some kind of fucking moral paragon that knows everything about philosophy and morals. Especially when you're a fucking neocon, bro.
Anyway, I know I diverted your topic, but what do you want to say about the?
Oh yeah, I wanted to say, working people. Do you think this is actually that was a really good conversation because it's relevant to the discussion. Like, do you think when working people use language that's bad, like, because working people obviously, like, when you're poor, like you grow up in a place where political correctness is less valued, it's less important, it's more socially acceptable to say offensive things. Do you agree with that? Like when you're poor,
if you live
it's
in an
more
area where it's like it's all right,
right. Yeah.
like they don't really care about PCness.
Yeah, just based on
I
your
mean,
personal experience, you think like there's different cultures and like some things are like offensive to say when you're a well-off like middle-class American that aren't offensive when you're like poor, you know? Living
I mean, yeah, like I like living in like like low income areas, like you're gonna have people saying the N word with the a and like just stuff like that. I mean, really, I don't think it's like anything that bad.
right.
Sometimes someone says cracker, but like
True. And I'm not even necessarily just talking about racial slurs, but I am mainly talking about those because they're so offensive that I kind of want to like focus on them because it's not really worth focusing on like saying fuck and like other
yeah,
swears
like
because everyone does that.
I mean, yeah, like growing up, like I went to like pretty like basically I went to a middle school that was like near the hood and shit like that. So like I've heard people talk like this. People say like spick, cracker, and the N word and shit.
Right.
And like you really like people don't even like bat an eye. Like they don't even
No.
care. And like people would call other people crackers, and like that was just like the normal thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have as much power when you use it all the time. But a lot of like this is my question to you, okay? A lot of leftists online have issues with podcasts like Cumtown, podcasts like Chapo Trap House because they're so offensive. They say things like, well, they make jokes at the expense of women. They make jokes at the expense of like minorities and stuff. And they do. I mean, especially Cumtown is extremely racist and misogynist, and it's hilarious. I recommend everyone listen to it. But the thing is though is that their politics are much the same as ours. They're leftists, they're, anarchists or socialists, regardless of what flavor of leftist they are. I think politically we agree, but they'll make jokes at the expense of minorities and women. Do you think that people on this so-called dirtbag left, do they have an obligation to censor themselves to, more fit the political ideology that they have? Or do you think that actually by being offensive and like being okay with saying these things, we're actually growing our our base because you're not alienating poor people that use language like that all the time?
I don't know. There's it's a double-edged sword. So like, in one thing, I don't know like if they're like white or brown or whatever like that, but like there's one thing like it's wrong for people to say it in public, or so you don't want to normalize using racial slurs and stuff like that. You don't want that to happen, right?
Or misogyny.
Or like misogyny.
Yeah.
But if like they're doing a sake for to be funny, or like can be like to trying to be they're trying to do a skit or be funny or anything like that, and stuff like that, it's supposed to make people uncomfortable.
Right.
Like, and I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If they they don't really think stuff the stuff they're saying,
Right.
Right? Like
yeah.
They don't like think, oh, women are fucking less than men, or they say the N-word, like they don't actually mean what it actually means.
Exactly. That's an important thing too, is because like
Context is very important.
it is very important. But here's my question to you though, because I'm really glad you said that, because I was gonna say that. Because the wrench in the system is that Cumtown is not a political podcast. They don't talk about politics, but I know, because I know the people who host it, I know that they're like socialist anarchists. So I know that about their politics. But when you listen to the show, you might not necessarily pick that up if you don't pay close attention. And on top of that, they have a lot of racist and misogynist jokes. And as a consequence of that, they not only have a lot of socialist and like anarchist viewers, they also have a lot of like far right viewers. So would you say that they do more damage by like by having racist and misogynist jokes on their thing, by making right-wing people think that it's okay? Do you think they do more damage that way than the help that they do?
I don't know, because if they don't talk about their policies or whatever, like anyway, what I think is like, who do you think it's its fault on to like do research? Should they like always at the beginning like, hey, this is we're just doing this because we were trying to be funny or like satire or stuff like that? Or should it be up to the person listening to do their own research on Cumtown?
That's a good question.
To be more informed.
To know if they really believe like all these things that they're saying. I don't know. I guess
it'd be up to them or the viewer or listener.
I kind of go both ways on this, like, because I think that you do have a certain obligation as a person with a platform. You do have a certain obligation about the things that you say. Like, I would argue that
you have to be held accountable for what you say.
Exactly.
Online.
If you're advocating for, like, let's say you make a podcast and it's not political, but you constantly talk about, like, how America should, I don't know, like, go back to the 1940s because it was better when black people didn't have rights or something like that. Like, I think that is wrong. But when you make jokes at the expense of women, I don't know if that's different, because, like, let's say that you're Cumtown and actually in your heart you believe you believe you're a socialist and anarchist or whatever, but your podcast is not political, so that never comes up, and then all you do is make jokes about women. I mean, I guess I see how that could be damaging,
I mean, I see that as well. But, there's also, the tone as well. Like, I feel like if you get a right-winger saying, like, oh, I fucking think women shouldn't have the right to vote, I think black people should still be separated. Like, there's a certain tone. You can tell if a person's joking or not.
Yeah.
Like, if you can laugh about it, that means, it's different, I guess. True.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, like, someone made a really good point that I agree with. It's like, whenever you are overly politically correct and, like, you over police your words, and, like, there's a very, like, decorum, like, bougie decorum that you have to follow when you're talking to people, you kind of alienate poor people. That's kind of what I was trying to get at earlier. Like, by alienating those people and telling them, like, oh, it's not okay to talk the way that you talk, you make it less likely that they're going to listen to your politics,
Yeah.
And I think I'm okay with it, Like, I'm okay with being vulgar and, like, fucked up, as long as, like, that means that more people join our movement,
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't know. It's an interesting question, because I think that I'm a little bit inconsistent about that, because I would say people like Destiny, for example, I would say actually Destiny's stream causes a lot of harm, and I don't think there's a lot of value in his stream because I disagree with his politics. But
he's like a capitalist,
right?
He's a leftist capitalist, or whatever he wants to fucking call himself.
He's
neoliberal.
Yeah, whatever he wants to fucking call himself.
Whatever he fucking goes by these days.
But yeah, like, but I wouldn't say that about Cumtown, because I do agree with their politics. So, like, I admit that it's inconsistent, but in a way, what I'm saying is that it depends on what your politics are. Yeah. Like, if you're a right winger, yeah, you should be banned.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's a weird thing, because, like, if you're trying to be funny, like, I think, nothing's off the limits if it's meant to be a joke or you're supposed to be funny. Obviously, there's some things you can't joke about, or, like,
really, what would you say those
joked
are?
About. I don't know. I think anything, like, if it's recent, maybe you wait a little bit.
Right.
Because, like, especially if it comes to, like, terrorist attacks or, like, school shootings, but maybe you just hold off just a second. But other than that, I think, as long as it's not recent, fucking go off.
I think that's just out of respect too, because, like, you have to admit that, like, you're gonna hurt some people if you make a joke like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I agree, though. I don't think anything is off limits for joking, but I would argue that maybe off show, you have a certain obligation to not be okay. You can't encourage people to actually adopt the beliefs that are indicated by your jokes. So, like,
and sometimes it's just a bad joke, like, it's tasteless, and it's actually just not funny.
Well, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not funny, though, because some really fucked up jokes are hilarious. Probably the funniest jokes I ever hear are, like, racist jokes. Those are, like, the funniest jokes, because it's, like, I don't know, it's just funny. It's funny because it's shocking and fucked up, Or, like, jokes about women. I do think those are hilarious, because, like, I love funny, fucked up jokes. Anyway, I just wanted to know what you thought about language and shit. I think that, like, my ultimate opinion is don't censor yourself because you feel like you have to, but also just be aware of the effect that your language has on people. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah, I
fair
agree with
enough? Okay. All right, let's move on. What else do you want to talk about?
I don't know, there's a lot of World War III memes, a lot of jokes about Iran going on. I feel like that we can that moves into this next topic because is it okay? Because like there's a thing like we're like, oh, is it okay to joke about this? Like a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't joke about World War III. Like like you don't have to be a part. You're not in it
Yeah.
because you're not in the military.
Yeah, well, that's
I
stupid.
think you joke about it, bro. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah. You can joke about it, and even if it does happen, it's like this war is a joke, so it's fine to laugh at it. It's fine to laugh at these
Like
jokers.
our
up
president
top.
literally committed a war crime.
Yeah, no, yeah. That when I woke up to see that news, I was so shocked. Like,
Yeah.
I just, in my recent memory, like, I don't remember anything this heinous that we've ever done. Like, this blatant, though. Like, we do shit all the time secretly.
Yeah, this is just a blatant like Trump is trying to get reelected, and he killed literally Iranian was he a general?
Yeah, basically a general. Like, someone made a
Drone strike.
great analogy. They said it would be like if Iran killed General Petraeus or something. Like, that kind of puts it into perspective for our listeners. Like, General Petraeus dying would be similar to what we did to them. And, like, I've heard so many fucking liberals talking about how, oh, it's not a big deal because that guy was actually a bad guy. But that's not the point. The point is the president unilaterally decided without notifying Congress to assassinate the general of a foreign country who we have had extremely tenuous relationship with for the past 40 plus years, ever since we overthrew their government in 59.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When I first heard about it, I was more worried about my brother because he's in the Marines.
Yeah, me
And
too.
we didn't want him to get hurt in Iran or wherever he gets deployed.
Yeah, I thought about your brother. I thought about my brother. I thought about all these 3,000 people that Trump is sending to Iraq. Or
Because we're old
wherever.
enough that it's affecting people within our immediate family.
Yeah.
It's not just your grandpa, your uncle, your whatever anymore.
Yeah, it's not a distant
It's your
memory.
brothers, your sisters, your close family members, cousins.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's talk about the draft a little bit. Do you think that the U.S. would employ a draft in a war like this?
No, I don't think the U.S. is going to deploy a draft because I don't think it's needed.
I don't think so either, and I think the reason is because modern wars actually don't need a lot of people.
Yeah, it's more drones technology now.
Right. So I doubt that they would use the draft. But let me just... I think this goes without saying, but if they do use a draft, and you absolutely should not go. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
What's the worst they
I'd rather
can
get
do?
arrested.
Yeah. What is the worst they can do? Arrest you? I'll get arrested. I'll serve crack before I serve this fucking country, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure,
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
it would be a bad PR move for Donald Trump to employ a draft, I think.
Oh, yeah. It would be awful. Because, I mean, there are still people alive today that got drafted into fucking Vietnam.
Yeah, and that was like a shit show.
Yeah.
So, and if you were joking, like the biggest thing that Iran could do is just wipe student debt because like a lot of the
cyber
reasons,
attack?
cyber attack and just wipe out student debt because a lot of reason why people join the military is so they can pay for school and stuff like that.
That would actually be so smart. Oh my god, I've never thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying do it, but do it.
I mean,
I feel
shit,
like a
I'm
lot
not
of
gonna say
the
no.
listeners have student debt, so
Yeah, everyone has student debt, man. That would be such a lifesaver. Thank you, Iran. Yeah, and also, like, I want to use this opportunity to introduce a concept that I think is really important. A concept known as critical support. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Critical support is the idea that you can support someone without necessarily agreeing with the things that they do. And for example, I have critical support of the people of Iran. I don't agree with the extreme theocracy of Iran's government. I don't agree with any of that shit, but we are the aggressors in a foreign colonial, or imperial war. So I disagree with that. So I'm going to side with the people of Iran, even though I don't necessarily support their ideology. That would be known as critical support. And I think that every leftist should be critically supporting Iran right now. I think it was Lenin who said that every man whose country is involved in imperial wars yearns for the defeat of his own country. And I think that is more poignant now than ever, considering the difference in force between the U.S. and other militaries. Like, yeah, I hope we get fucking crushed. And, like, my heart fucking breaks for all of the innocent people that are gonna die in another useless fucking war. But, I mean, it just can't keep happening. It just cannot keep happening.
Yeah. Hopefully, like, nothing big goes on or happens. I can't believe, like, Donald Trump wanted to target, what was it, like, 48 cultural sites in Iran.
Yeah, because of
Like,
the fucking hostage shit. Such a petty, stupid ass thing to fucking say. Unbelievable, because it just has no relationship to what is going on right now. He's such a fucking brain dead chimp. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And then Iran said they were like listing out like Donald Trump's locate like targets because they want to, you know, it's just Donald Trump they want, you know.
Right.
I think that brings into another discussion. Like, what if Iran just wants Donald Trump and they want us to ship him to Iran?
Dude, they can fucking
How would
have
that work
him.
out?
Do they still
Like,
have
what would
public
even
executions in Iran, or?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll have to figure that out first, though.
Yeah, but how do you think that would even work out? Like, I don't think.
I mean, like, obviously the government would never allow
the powers
that.
above us would never, you know,
No.
surrender Donald Trump. But like, what if the people were like, yeah, fuck it, let him have, like, let Iran have Donald Trump?
Yeah, I mean, they can have him. That's the thing, is, like, he has so much unilateral power to put 300 plus million people into a war that they don't want to be in. How did we let this happen?
Yeah, another crazy thing is, like,
I think the most heinous part about all of this is just the fact that Iran's government was installed by the United States, like in the 50s, whenever like we did that. It's our fault, and people, even liberals, cannot see this. I don't understand. We did this. It's our fault. It's like when people talk about Iraq or Japan or Afghanistan. It's like these are products of the U.S.
And like another thing that people don't realize is that like Iran isn't like a shithole like Middle Eastern country, and
no,
like,
they're rich as hell.
Like where they have like, you know, fucking these terrorist organizations like everywhere, and like since they're being terrorized, they're just like us. They're just like any major city in like the United States. They're modernized.
Not only that, but they're right next to Israel.
Like just like us.
They're right next to Israel, like one of the most important Middle Eastern countries right now.
Yeah, I feel like whenever people talk about the Middle East or like think about it, they try to generalize them and like they're all the same place, and you know, just a bunch of terrorists in the Middle East, and like, why should I care? I feel like, you know, if people talked about, oh, let's go to war with, you know, Poland or Sweden, it'd be like, what? No, like how could we ever do such a thing, you know?
Yeah,
because it's in the Middle East.
Right, it's like it's our battleground. It's the West's battleground where they want to fight their imperial wars, but they don't want their own people to get dirty, you know?
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, let's just drop another battalion on top of these innocent civilians in Iraq or in fucking Syria. It's horrific. God, I hate this country, and I hate our military. Like, I have so much hatred in my heart for the fucking military industrial complex because it's only used to subjugate poor people.
True, and we could use that money for like literally just anything else.
Anything else. It would be better for anything else.
On the military.
Fuck it, dude. Just take all the money from the military and pour it into VR research.
Yeah, honestly. Literally, just anything would help.
We can have Sword Art Online in less than 1 decade if we just appropriate that $1 trillion a year to go to VR technology. Who's with me?
I agree. Literally just live in Sword Art Online town.
Okay, David, is it okay if I introduce our philosophy question of the week?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my question to you is, have you ever heard of the term monkey wrenching?
I've heard of it, but go ahead and explain it.
Okay, for the people who don't know, monkey wrenching is the idea that basically, let's say that you work at a fossil fuel job and you run repairs on like an oil refinery or something. Monkey wrenching would be like if you intentionally sabotaged the oil refinery so that way they couldn't use it anymore. And like you don't necessarily have to get caught, you don't necessarily have to like hurt, you definitely don't have to hurt anyone, but basically you're just sabotaging things for a greater idea. So do you think that people should monkey wrench the United States government, or like the United States military? And what I mean by that is, do you think that people should be like joining the military and then intentionally not discharging their duty? Do you think that that's something that people should consider doing?
Well, what do you mean by that? Discharging the duty?
Basically, like
just not
joining
following orders.
Yes, like not following orders, doing your own stuff, like actually helping people instead of doing the mission that you're supposed to be doing, things like that. Just like actively sabotaging the goal of the United States military.
I feel like that's hard
overseas.
to do because what boot camp and like join the military is like they totally just brainwash you right into.
You'd have to want to do it going in.
Yeah, like you'd have to. This would be something like you do, and you'd need more than one people because if you decide to do this, it's technically treason. And I think you can get capital punishment, which is like death.
Well, it's not treason, but you can. Well, it is treason because you're assisting the enemies of the United States. But I'm pretty sure you would just get dishonorably discharged and you'd be arrested. But they wouldn't execute you for that, I don't think.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, just one person doing it won't make a difference.
Right.
And you'll probably hurt yourself more than anything. And like, I don't want to say I outright agree with like. I guess you could also call it like eco-terrorism. Like,
yes,
if as long as no one's getting hurt. And like I think that's fine. Like fuck it, do it, right? If no one's getting hurt.
I guess if it's for a reason that I agree with.
Yeah, if it's a reason that I agree with, but if people get hurt, like I feel like that should be out of the question.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think doing things like breaking capital, like going to a factory and like breaking machines and shit, I don't think that's necessarily wrong. Like depending, of course, like if it's the racism factory, like you want to go and break the machines, that's just kind of it's a no-brainer. But like as far as like breaking things that working people use, like some people have recommended like insane eco-terrorism plots, such as like putting dirt in everyone's gas tank so that like no one can drive anymore. And like the reality of that is you're just hurting the poor people who can't. Yes, exactly. Yeah. You're hurting the people who can't afford
it's not rich people driving around cars. They're in their fucking private jets flying everywhere and their fucking helicopters and anything. You're not affecting them.
Exactly. So if you wanted a monkey wrench, if you actually want to commit eco-terrorism, which of course we would never advocate for on this show because that is a heinous crime. Do not do eco-terrorism. This is our only fucking warning. You will go to prison forever and you'll never see the light of day again. But if you wanted to, though, I think that you would have to do like basically rich people shit. Like you'd have to work on an airline and like I don't know, in fucking some rich ass country and like just you'd have to like make your way in. Maybe you can like incept something into someone's head.
Become like one of their servants, or manage their Twitter or something.
Right. And honestly, the best form of eco-terrorism would just be to convert them to like Marxism. That would be the absolute best thing that you could do. There's no victims, and then they become a class traitor. So yes, we love monkey wrenching on this show. We love monkey wrenching.
Careful what you say there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I had.
Yeah, but monkey wrenching. Do it if it doesn't hurt anybody. Also, you have to realize that if you do get caught, that you are probably gonna go to prison forever.
Yeah.
Because laws are in place to protect capital.
Absolutely. But you know what? Sometimes laws are worth breaking.
All right, and let's do a charisma roll for the outro of the podcast.
We rolled a nat 20, bro.
Hey, and thank you for watching Left in the South podcast. This has been episode 9. Thank you for listening. Also, shout out to our Patreon pledgers, Grind980, and Tim or Zachary. Thank you for supporting us.
Thank you. And don't forget to sign up for that giveaway. Next episode, we will be announcing the winner. So make sure to hit us up on Twitter at Left in South Podcast.
With that, thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.